planning, priorities, goals, schedules, I want to share with you the fundamental aspects of planning in the workplace, how setting priorities, defining goals, and managing schedules can significantly enhance your productivity and help you achieve both short-term and long-term objectives. This module on planning is designed to provide you with practical strategies for organizing your tasks, managing your time effectively, and ensuring that your work aligns with your broader career goals. By mastering these planning skills, you can improve your efficiency, reduce stress, and increase your overall effectiveness in your professional life. Planning short-term goals and objectives. A well-thought-out plan always begins with clear objectives. Whether you aim to complete a task, gain a deeper understanding, or achieve a specific outcome, having a clear objective is essential. Short-term goals are those that pertain to daily, weekly, or monthly tasks that directly impact your career growth and professional development. Creating a daily work plan, prioritizing tasks, and setting achievable goals are crucial steps in ensuring that your work is both effective and fulfilling. Understanding the importance of short-term goals is critical because they provide the structure and focus needed to accomplish long-term objectives. By setting clear and manageable short-term goals, you can track your progress, stay motivated, and ensure that you are continuously moving forward in your career. However, neglecting to plan for short-term goals can lead to disorganization, missed deadlines, and a lack of direction in your work. Prioritizing tasks and responsibilities. Prioritization is the process of determining the order in which tasks should be addressed based on their relative importance and urgency. This involves assessing which tasks need to be completed first, either because they are time-sensitive or because they provide the foundation for other activities. Effective prioritization ensures that you are working on the most critical tasks at the right time, maximizing your productivity and minimizing stress. The ability to prioritize effectively is essential for managing your workload and achieving your goals. By identifying and focusing on the most important tasks, you can ensure that your efforts are aligned with your objectives and that you are making the best use of your time. On the other hand, poor prioritization can lead to wasted time, unfinished tasks, and a sense of being overwhelmed by your responsibilities. Resourcing. Gathering what you need. Resourcing involves gathering all the materials, information, and support you need to complete your tasks smoothly. This includes everything from having the right tools and data to coordinating with colleagues and accessing necessary resources. Proper resourcing is key to ensuring that your work progresses without unnecessary interruptions or delays. Understanding the importance of resourcing is crucial for maintaining efficiency and accuracy in your work. By planning and gathering the necessary resources ahead of time, you can avoid the common pitfalls of delays and errors caused by missing information or tools. Failing to resource properly can result in bottlenecks, frustration, and a decrease in the overall quality of your work. Executing the plan. Execution refers to the actual implementation of your plan. It involves starting work on the tasks you have prioritized, using the resources you have gathered, and adhering to the schedule you have set. Proper execution requires not only careful planning, but also the ability to adapt and adjust as needed to meet your objectives. Effective execution is critical for turning your plans into reality. By following through with your planned actions, you can ensure that your tasks are completed on time and to the desired standard. However, poor execution can lead to incomplete tasks, missed deadlines, and a failure to achieve your goals, regardless of how well you have planned. Time management and routine tasks. Time management is the art of allocating your time effectively across the various tasks and responsibilities you have each day. It involves creating routines, setting time limits for activities, and using tools such as reminders and task schedulers to stay on track. Good time management ensures that you can complete your tasks efficiently while maintaining a balance between work and personal life. Mastering time management is essential for maintaining productivity and reducing stress. By managing your time well, you can ensure that each day is productive and that you are consistently making progress toward your goals. Conversely, poor time management can lead to procrastination, unfinished tasks, and a chaotic work environment, making it difficult to achieve your objectives. Subconscious behavior patterns in planning. Your natural tendencies and subconscious behavior patterns play a significant role in how you approach planning. These patterns include whether you are more proactive or reactive, how you prioritize tasks, and whether you focus on options or procedures. Understanding these patterns can help you tailor your planning process to better suit your strengths and preferences. Recognizing these subconscious patterns is important because they influence how effectively you can plan and execute your tasks. By becoming aware of your natural inclinations, you can adjust your planning strategies to optimize your performance. Ignoring these patterns can result in inefficient planning, where your approach may not align with your natural strengths, leading to less effective outcomes. This module highlights the importance of effective planning, prioritization, and time management in achieving professional success. It provides practical strategies for organizing your work, managing your resources, and ensuring that your efforts are aligned with your goals.
Hi, I would like to share with you something that has made a huge difference in the way I approach my daily work and life. Planning. It's one of those things that we all know we should do, but somehow either feels overwhelming or unnecessary in the moment. I have seen so many people who are incredible at organizing things for others, yet when it comes to their own tasks, they struggle. Why is that? Maybe because planning sounds like a rigid structure, like something that takes away spontaneity, when in reality, it does the opposite. It creates freedom. Think about it. How often do we start our day without a clear sense of direction, just reacting to whatever comes our way? It's easy to get lost in a pile of tasks and end the day feeling exhausted but uncertain about what was really accomplished. I've noticed that when I take just a few minutes to outline what needs to be done, there's a shift. The day moves with more ease, less stress, and a clear focus. Could it be that planning isn't just about getting things done, but actually about feeling more in control? I've also found that planning is not about stuffing the day with endless to-do lists. It's more about setting priorities. What truly matters today? What will move things forward? It's tempting to list everything, but in my experience, trying to do it all only leads to frustration. Instead, picking the most important tasks and structuring them around the natural flow of the day makes a huge difference. Have you noticed how energy levels change throughout the day? Mornings are often great for focused work, while afternoons are better for discussions or lighter tasks. Aligning planning with these natural rhythms can make everything feel more effortless. Another thing I've realized is that planning doesn't have to be rigid. It's not about controlling every minute, but rather about having a roadmap that allows for flexibility. Things will always come up. Unexpected calls, sudden changes, urgent requests, but with a basic structure in place, adapting becomes easier. Instead of feeling thrown off course, it's possible to adjust while still keeping the bigger picture in mind. Is it possible that planning actually makes space for spontaneity rather than restricting it? I have also seen that the act of planning itself brings a sense of calm. When the mind knows there's a plan, even a simple one, there's less mental clutter. It's like giving the brain permission to stop worrying about what's next because the path is already laid out. Have you ever felt the relief of checking something off a list? That small moment of clarity and progress is what planning creates throughout the day. So, rather than seeing planning as another task to squeeze in, maybe it's worth seeing it as a way to make life easier. What if it's not about controlling time, but about using it wisely? What if planning isn't about restriction, but about creating a sense of flow? I think the real power of planning is not just in productivity, but in how it allows us to move through the day with more ease and less resistance. I'd like to share something that has completely changed the way I approach my work: planning and organizing. At first, these words sounded so structured, almost mechanical, like something only project managers or executives need to worry about. But the more I paid attention, the more I realized that planning and organizing aren't just about work. They shape how smoothly everything flows, from daily tasks to long-term goals. Is it possible that a little structure can actually create more freedom? I have seen that many people focus heavily on planning, but forget about organizing. Planning gives direction, but organizing makes execution effortless. Have you ever made a to-do list and then felt overwhelmed because it all seemed scattered? That's where organizing comes in. It's about arranging tasks in a way that makes them easier to complete. Sometimes the issue isn't that there's too much to do, but that things aren't placed in a way that works for us. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that planning and organizing need to fit personal work rhythms. I've noticed that mornings are usually the best time for deep, focused work, while afternoons are better for meetings or less demanding tasks. Instead of fighting these natural patterns, I started planning my tasks around them, and everything became more effortless. Is it possible that organizing tasks around energy levels could make work feel less exhausting? Another interesting thing is how organizing isn't about adding more rules, but about making things flow better. A workspace that feels chaotic can make thinking feel chaotic too. Even small adjustments, like keeping frequently used files in easy to reach places or structuring emails into folders, can save time and reduce unnecessary frustration. Could organizing be more about reducing decision fatigue rather than just tidying up? I've also noticed that planning too far ahead can sometimes create stress rather than clarity. While it's great to have long-term goals, breaking them down into smaller, short-term steps makes everything more manageable. Instead of feeling the weight of an entire project, focusing on just the next step makes it easier to move forward. Could it be that the secret to staying organized is simply knowing what's next, rather than trying to control everything? Planning and organizing aren't about being rigid. They are about creating a structure that supports flexibility. When there's a clear roadmap, there's less worry about what's ahead. And when things are well organized, there's less energy wasted on unnecessary decisions. Maybe the key isn't doing more, but doing things in a way that allows for smoother, less stressful days. I'd like to share something that has completely reshaped how I approach getting things done: understanding the elements of planning. It's easy to assume that planning is just about making lists or setting deadlines, but I've realized it's much more than that. It's about clarity, direction, and breaking things down into something manageable. Have you ever looked at a big task and felt stuck, not knowing where to begin? That's where understanding how to set short-term goals and objectives makes all the difference. I've seen that the best plans always start with a clear objective. What is the outcome? What needs to be accomplished? Without this, it's easy to feel busy but not actually make progress. A well thought out plan provides a sense of direction, making sure every effort moves things forward rather than just filling the day with activity. Could it be that planning isn't just about working harder, but about working smarter? One of the most effective habits I've come across is creating a daily work plan. Instead of tackling everything at once, breaking things into smaller, focused goals for the day makes tasks feel more achievable. I've noticed that having a simple structure, dividing tasks into core work, the real skill-based work, and correspondence, emails, calls, follow-ups, helps create balance. Otherwise, the day can easily get consumed by emails and meetings without any real progress. Is it possible that structuring tasks this way could lead to more productive and less overwhelming workdays? Something else that has made a huge difference is recognizing the best time to work on certain tasks. I've found that mornings are best for deep, high concentration work, while afternoons are better for meetings, discussions, or administrative work. Aligning tasks with these natural rhythms helps prevent burnout and keeps energy levels steady throughout the day. Could it be that energy management is just as important as time management? Another key part of planning is making sure goals are actually doable. I have seen that people often make the mistake of listing everything they'd like to accomplish without considering what's realistic. The best short-term goals are specific, time-bound, and achievable. It's better to set fewer, well-defined tasks and complete them rather than overload the day with an impossible list. Maybe the secret to better planning isn't about doing more, but about doing the right things at the right time. Planning isn't about rigid structure. It's about creating a system that supports progress in a way that feels natural and sustainable. A well-planned day creates more clarity, less stress, and a smoother flow of work. Could it be that planning is less about control and more about giving yourself the freedom to focus on what truly matters? Prioritization shapes how effectively work gets done. With multiple tasks demanding attention, deciding what comes first can make all the difference. It's easy to fall into the trap of tackling whatever seems urgent, but is urgency always the best guide? Some tasks feel pressing but have little real impact, while others, though not immediate, carry long-term significance. Could it be that true efficiency comes from balancing urgency with importance rather than reacting to whatever feels most pressing? One of the biggest challenges is figuring out the order in which tasks should be completed. Some things need to be done first because other tasks depend on them. Others may not be urgent, but require deeper focus and should be scheduled when energy levels are high. There's also the factor of team dependencies. If others are waiting on something, providing it in time keeps the workflow smooth. Without prioritization, even a well-planned day can turn chaotic. Is it possible that knowing when to do something is just as important as knowing what to do? Resources play a major role in execution. If it's frustrating to start a task only to realize that something essential is missing, whether it's information, tools, or input from others, gathering everything needed before beginning makes work feel effortless rather than disjointed. This applies to both physical resources, like proper equipment, and intangible ones, like access to the right people or data. I have seen that a lack of resources often leads to unnecessary delays, not because the task itself is difficult, but because the missing pieces slow everything down. Could it be that preparation is what turns complex tasks into simple ones? Execution is where everything comes together, but even the best plans can fail without proper follow-through. Sometimes the biggest challenge isn't the task itself, but simply getting started. A well-structured plan removes the mental resistance that makes work feel overwhelming. Instead of spending time wondering where to begin, execution becomes a natural next step. This is where prioritization and resourcing matter most. When everything is in place, momentum builds easily. Could it be that execution isn't about forcing productivity, but about setting up an environment where work flows naturally? Time management plays a crucial role in making planning effective. It's not just about fitting everything into the day, but about structuring tasks in a way that makes the best use of energy and attention. Not all hours are equal. Some are better suited for focused work, while others are ideal for communication and collaboration. Breaking the day into time blocks can help align tasks with the right moments, preventing burnout and maximizing efficiency. Is it possible that managing time isn't about doing more, but about doing things at the right time? Routine procedures bring consistency to daily tasks. Repetitive work may seem small, but when done without structure, it can eat up time and mental energy. Creating systems for handling routine tasks, whether it's a standard approach for responding to emails, organizing files, or scheduling follow-ups, reduces decision fatigue and makes everything feel smoother. The more automated a routine becomes, the more mental space is left for high-value work. Could it be that structure isn't limiting, but actually freeing? Time management shapes the way work flows throughout the day. It's not just about squeezing as much as possible into a schedule, but about knowing when and how to work on different tasks. Have you ever noticed that some hours feel naturally more productive than others? Some moments are perfect for deep, focused work, while others are better suited for discussions, emails, or routine tasks. Could it be that managing time isn't about doing more, but about aligning tasks with the right energy levels? A well-structured day includes both focus and flexibility. Without time boundaries, tasks can expand unnecessarily, leaving little room for high-priority work. Setting dedicated time slots for different types of tasks helps maintain balance. Mornings, when energy is usually at its highest, are best reserved for important, complex work. Afternoons, when focus begins to wane, work well for meetings, emails, tasks, or collaborative discussions. It's not about forcing discipline, but about recognizing natural work rhythms. Is it possible that time management is really about energy management? Hidden pockets of time often go unnoticed, yet they hold incredible potential. Small gaps between meetings, waiting periods, or even idle moments throughout the day can be used effectively. These moments aren't meant for deep work, but they're perfect for quick reviews, follow-ups, or even small bursts of creative thinking. Identifying these spaces and using them wisely prevents the feeling of being constantly rushed while making progress in small, meaningful ways. Could it be that better time management isn't about working harder, but about noticing opportunities that already exist? Routines play a major role in creating structure. While spontaneity has its place, certain daily tasks benefit from a well-defined process. Emails, documentation, or recurring administrative work can be handled more efficiently when assigned specific time slots. This not only reduces decision fatigue, but also keeps things from piling up unexpectedly. Instead of allowing minor tasks to interrupt the flow of focused work, scheduling them at the right time helps maintain control over the day. Could routines be the key to feeling more organized without feeling restricted? A strong planning system doesn't just include tasks, it accounts for how time is used. A day filled with back-to-back work leaves no room for breaks, which ironically leads to less productivity. Small resets, like a quick walk or stepping away from the screen, help restore mental clarity. I have seen that those who consciously include short breaks tend to maintain steady productivity without feeling drained. Maybe the secret to managing time isn't in doing more, but in making space for recovery as well. Structuring time is ultimately about creating a flow that reduces stress and increases focus. When time is managed well, there's less scrambling, fewer rushed deadlines, and a greater sense of control. Work no longer feels like a constant race, but more like a steady, intentional process. Could it be that mastering time isn't about keeping up with the clock, but about designing the day in a way that feels effortless? I've learned that prioritization can completely change the way work feels. There was a time when I'd jump into whatever seemed most urgent, thinking that tackling the loudest task was the best approach. But I started noticing something. Some tasks felt pressing, but didn't actually move things forward in any meaningful way. Others, though not demanding immediate attention, held the most long-term value. Could it be that true efficiency isn't about reacting to what's urgent, but about focusing on what truly matters? Not everything on a to-do list carries the same weight. I used to think that if something was assigned to me, it must be important. But the more I paid attention, the more I realized that some tasks create real progress, while others just keep things running. Asking myself, does this move me forward or just keep me busy, completely shifted my approach. I started prioritizing the work that led to meaningful results instead of just checking things off a list. Is it possible that productivity isn't about doing more, but about doing what actually counts? Some priorities aren't just about personal workflow. They depend on others. I have seen that when a task holds up someone else's work, handling it first makes everything run more smoothly. At the same time, I've noticed that my own focus isn't the same all day. I work best on deep, complex tasks in the morning, while afternoons are better suited for meetings, follow-ups, or emails. Aligning tasks with these natural rhythms has made everything feel easier. Have you noticed that when a task is done at the right time, it flows effortlessly instead of feeling like a struggle? One of the biggest challenges I faced was balancing short-term tasks with long-term goals. Urgent things always seem to take priority, pushing bigger objectives aside. I kept waiting for a free moment to work on long-term projects, but those moments never came. Then I started scheduling them, treating them as just as important as any other task. I have seen that the people who do this make the most steady progress. Could it be that prioritization isn't just about what to do first, but also about making sure important things don't get pushed aside? Not everything needs the same level of effort. I used to spend way too much time overthinking small tasks and then rushing through big ones. Then I realized that some things just need to be done, while others require deeper focus. Understanding the difference saved me time and mental energy. Maybe prioritization isn't about squeezing everything into the day, but about knowing where to place the most energy. Prioritization, for me, isn't about creating a strict plan. It's about knowing what truly matters and staying flexible enough to adapt. The more I focus on what's meaningful, the less I feel overwhelmed by everything else. I get more done, but in a way that feels intentional, not rushed. Could it be that prioritization isn't about doing everything, but about making sure the right things get done at the right time? I've learned that having the right resources can make or break the flow of work. There were times when I'd sit down to start a task, only to realize I was missing something, whether it was key information, access to a tool, or input from someone else. The frustration of stopping mid-task to track down what I needed was exhausting. Could it be that the real challenge isn't always the task itself, but the lack of preparation before starting? Gathering resources ahead of time has completely changed how smoothly work flows. I started noticing that when everything was in place before I began, I could move through tasks effortlessly. It wasn't just about physical tools. Sometimes the missing piece was information from a colleague, a document buried in emails, or even mental clarity on what needed to be done. I have seen that work become significantly easier when all the necessary pieces are set up in advance. Is it possible that planning for resources is just as important as planning for tasks? One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that resourcing isn't just about what I need. It's also about what others need from me. Just like I can't complete certain tasks without the right inputs, my colleagues often rely on me to provide information or approvals. Delays happen when resources don't flow smoothly between people. The more I make sure that I'm not the one holding things up, the more everything moves efficiently. Have you ever noticed how much smoother things run when everyone is prepared at the right time? Another challenge I faced was assuming that if a resource wasn't immediately available, I had to wait. But waiting often leads to wasted time. I started shifting my approach. If something was missing, I'd proactively seek it out rather than putting the task on hold. Whether it was requesting data earlier, finding an alternative tool, or adjusting priorities while waiting, I found ways to keep progress steady. Could it be that resourcing isn't just about having everything up front, but also about knowing how to adapt when things aren't immediately available? Technology has played a huge role in making resourcing easier. I used to rely too much on memory, but keeping key information organized, whether in digital folders, project management tools, or even simple notes, has saved me so much time. Setting up systems where resources are easily accessible removes unnecessary delays and decision fatigue. Maybe the key isn't just having resources, but knowing exactly where to find them when needed. Resourcing, for me, is now something I think about before starting any major task. I've realized that smooth execution isn't just about effort, it's about preparation. The right tools, information, and support can turn what feels like a difficult task into an effortless one. Could it be that work doesn't have to feel like a struggle when the right resources are already in place? Execution has always been the moment where everything either comes together smoothly or falls apart. I used to think that getting started was the hardest part, but I've realized that execution isn't just about starting, it's about following through efficiently. There were times when I would sit down ready to work, but somehow the task would feel bigger than it actually was. Could it be that execution becomes difficult not because of the work itself, but because of the mental resistance that comes from not having a clear process? I have seen that when execution feels effortless, it's usually because everything leading up to it was set up correctly. The more prepared I am, having the right resources, understanding priorities, and knowing exactly what needs to be done, the easier it is to get things done without delays. I've also noticed that the most challenging part isn't necessarily doing the work, but managing distractions. Have you ever started a task only to get pulled into emails, messages, or something unrelated? It's amazing how small interruptions can turn a simple task into a drawn-out process. Momentum plays a huge role in execution. Once I start, things usually pick up speed, but if I stop too often, it takes longer to regain focus. I've found that grouping similar tasks together helps maintain that momentum. Answering emails in one block, making calls back to back, or completing all research before jumping into writing. By keeping the flow consistent, execution feels less like a struggle and more like a natural process. Could it be that execution isn't about working faster, but about reducing unnecessary stops and starts? One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that execution rarely goes exactly as planned. There are always unexpected challenges, technical issues, missing information, sudden changes. I used to let these derail my progress, but I started shifting my mindset. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, I began treating them as part of the process. When something unexpected happens, adjusting quickly and keeping things moving is what really defines effective execution. Maybe the key to getting things done isn't just planning well, but also staying adaptable when things don't go as expected. Procrastination used to be a huge hurdle for me. I would overthink a task, waiting for the right moment to start. But I've realized that action creates clarity. Once I take the first step, even if it's small, everything else starts falling into place. Breaking tasks down into the smallest possible action removes the mental resistance. Instead of thinking about completing a full report, I'd start with writing the title. Instead of finishing an entire presentation, I'd outline the first slide. Have you noticed that once you take the first step, the rest suddenly feels easier? Execution for me is no longer just about getting things done. It's about making the process smoother, more intentional, and less mentally draining. When work flows naturally, there's less stress and more satisfaction in seeing real progress. Could it be that execution isn't about pushing harder, but about setting up the right conditions so that work happens effortlessly? Time management has completely changed the way I approach work and productivity. I used to believe it was all about squeezing as much as possible into a day, but I've realized it's actually about working with time, not against it. There were days when I felt busy from start to finish, yet at the end, I couldn't pinpoint what I had actually accomplished. Could it be that time management isn't about doing more, but about doing the right things at the right time? I have seen that not all hours are equal. Some moments in the day feel naturally productive, while others feel sluggish. Instead of fighting against this, I started paying attention to when I work best. Mornings tend to be great for deep focus, while afternoons are better for meetings and lighter tasks. Aligning work with natural energy levels makes everything flow more easily. Have you ever noticed that when you work on something at the wrong time, it takes twice as long? Maybe the real secret to time management isn't about scheduling everything perfectly, but about recognizing when to do what. Interruptions can easily derail even the best plans. I used to think that checking emails or answering messages as they came in was just part of staying productive, but I soon realized how much time was lost in constant context switching. Now, I group similar tasks together: emails at one time, calls in another block, and deep work with no interruptions. This simple change has saved me so much mental energy. Could it be that managing distractions is just as important as managing time? Another shift that made a huge difference was learning to schedule breaks instead of working nonstop. I used to power through long hours thinking that staying at my desk meant getting more done, but I noticed that after a certain point, my focus would drop and everything took longer. Now, I take short breaks before I reach that point, stepping away for a walk, stretching, or simply breathing for a few minutes. I have seen that these small resets actually increase productivity rather than take away from it. Maybe time management isn't just about working efficiently, but also about knowing when to pause. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that time itself isn't the problem. Poor planning is. I used to feel like there was never enough time, but when I started structuring my day intentionally, I realized I had more than I thought. Simple habits like planning tasks the night before, estimating how long things actually take, and setting boundaries around my schedule made all the difference. Have you ever noticed that when you plan well, work feels lighter and more manageable? Time management for me is no longer about filling every minute. It's about making time work for me. When tasks are aligned with energy, distractions are minimized, and breaks are included, work becomes more efficient and less stressful. Could it be that real-time management isn't about controlling the clock, but about designing the day in a way that flows effortlessly? Routine tasks used to feel like a necessary evil, things that had to be done but didn't really contribute to meaningful progress. I used to push them aside, thinking they were just distractions from the real work, only to find them piling up and becoming overwhelming. But over time, I've realized that managing routine tasks well creates more mental space for high-value work. Could it be that routine tasks aren't just interruptions, but actually the foundation for a smoother, less stressful workday? I have seen that the biggest problem with routine tasks isn't the tasks themselves, it's how they're handled. When they're scattered throughout the day, constantly breaking up focus, they feel like a burden. But when grouped together, tackled at the right time, or even automated, they become almost effortless. Emails, reports, follow-ups, things that once felt like a never-ending cycle, suddenly feel manageable when scheduled intentionally. Maybe the key isn't avoiding routine work, but finding a way to make it fit more naturally into the day. Timing plays a huge role in making routine tasks easier. I used to try and handle them in between bigger projects, but I noticed that each small interruption made it harder to regain focus. Now I assign specific time slots for them, batching similar tasks together so they don't interfere with deeper work. Mornings are best for creative and complex tasks, while afternoons are perfect for administrative work. Could it be that routine work only feels overwhelming when it's done at the wrong time? Automation has been another game changer. I used to manually handle every small task, but I started looking for ways to make things run on autopilot. Email templates, scheduled reminders, organizing documents systematically. The more I streamlined, the less time I spent on repetitive tasks. I have seen that even small adjustments, like setting up filters for emails or using simple workflow tools, can save hours over time. Is it possible that routine tasks don't have to take up so much mental energy if the right systems are in place? One of the biggest mistakes I made was treating every task with the same level of importance. Not everything needs immediate attention, and some things don't even need to be done at all. I started questioning whether every routine task truly added value, and I found ways to delegate or remove unnecessary steps. The more I simplified, the lighter my workload became. Maybe the secret isn't just managing routine tasks better, but also questioning whether they even need to exist in the first place. Now I see routine tasks differently. Instead of letting them disrupt the day, I structure them in a way that supports my work rather than competes with it. When handled well, they create order, reduce stress, and make space for deeper focus. Could it be that routine tasks, when managed right, are actually the key to having more time for what really matters?